Hi, UnDaoDu, to you and yours. Mike Trout here. I want to do a talk talking about why am I embedding found ups in what I'm doing in all this mystical bullshit and supernatural. You can blame Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell was an American icon and storyteller. And he spent his life gathering up the stories of myths. And he said something to me that really profoundly resonated. Society needs myths. What held together cultures and society is epic battle against good and evil. The power of myth is very important. Whether it's the stories in the Indian cultures, he traveled the world, or the Hindu cultures, or the Buddhist cultures, didn't matter. The ancient stories, he would want to go and hear these ancient stories and bring them together. We are entering the fifth age, an age where we're going to be so, disconnected, an age where there is no myth, there is no story. We have basically shattered them all. There is no Star Wars. There is no nothing. It's like all there is social media, fast attention, everything. We are in a way killing ourselves because we're losing our connection to our ancestors. So what I have done with UnDaoDu, right, is here's an image, an icon, right, of one of the oldest icons in the world, this Mayan civilization. No one ever explains why no one explained who he was or what he is, or if there is, share it with me, because I've never found any information on him, never named him. Why is he carrying what looks like a monitor on his back, right? Who is that monitor? And why is he standing on these blocks? What's the symbolism of these blocks? And what is the symbolism of this thing that touches his forehead, which has always been a symbol of coming out of, right? Inventing, creating. So this person has basically created this thing, built on this thing that has this thing in it. That's how I read that. There's nothing mystical about that. That's just reading a drawing. And who are these people around, right? And are the people that are very clear, people that I've interacted with because I know their face, and are people that aren't so clear, like down here, that are connected. If you look down here, how this is, these are people who, the three things are connected to these blocks, right? They obviously worked on, they're plugged in. So these four guys right here, right, are obviously guys who worked on this blocks, because they're all right there. They're connected, right, from here to here. You can see that. So I am, my degree is in theater, acting, right? I'm a creative. I'm not an analytical. How much of this is real? It's for you to filter, right? It's not for me to say. I'm just sharing a story. I'm sharing a story, and this is the story of Dadu, who becomes UnDaoDu, right? Who is selected some 30,000 years ago in a ritual that he has to kill everyone, even his brothers. And Du, the elephant guy, that's Brock Pierce. The reason why he's the first enlightened one, the reason why he's the first one to see and understand all this, even though he does a crazy interpretation of it, Brock, I love it. Interesting. It's because he died first. He paved the way, right? And he's there as a teacher for me, right? I look at Brock as a teacher, Brock Pierce from EOS. And it's very important that this new fifth age, that's the open hand, like it was painting, it's not blood, right? The fifth age, right, is grounded to the very birth of humanity. And the story of UnDaoDu tells the story of the birth of Shigamatra, the Alpha and the Omega. The first enlightened being was the mammoths. And the mammoths basically ruled the planet, and they saw these kind of strange apes periodically show up. And they're showing up because, see, there's an Easter Islands off the coast of Somalia, and if you go back far enough, you can see that there was land there. And then over as the glaciers in, the whole of Europe was ice. So as the glaciers, all these glaciers on Europe basically melted, all this water came in and sea levels rose, we know for a fact, 100 meters. So 100 meters down, there would have been a huge plateau and everything else out there, and and the last of the Ouroboros, they called them the Ouroboros. They were eating. They would eat everything. They're like a disease, the Ouroboros, like a pathogen. That's what Shigamatra's mother calls them, the Ouroboros. They don't understand. They think because they come from an island and they're always hungry and they're always competing. There's balance here, and they don't understand the balance. We come out of balance onto the land. And Shigamatra's mother, the Alpha, she's called as the Alpha, is talking to Shigamatra, who's only, she's only, 10 years old at the time when her mother dies. And she's, saying, you're the one, you are, and she knows that she's the Omega. The last of their line is in her daughter, and she's really sad. She's like, Shigamatra, you're the Omega. You're the last of thousands and thousands of years of passing down. And and they had, they were as intelligent as we are, but as a mammoth, right? They didn't need to, they just, they lived in harmony with others. They were herbivore, of course. They weren't a carnivore. They understood the balance. They understood the realms. But the Ouroboros did not. The Ouroboros felt the land was theirs and everything else, and they were going to consume and they were going to take. And, and she didn't have the answer, but she knew her daughter would. Her daughter would usher in, it would be on her to basically slay it. So that's one side of the story. And UnDaoDu was born in a ritual, and he, was created to kill the beast. Well, the beast ends up to be Shigamatra. You don't know that at the time. But Shigamatra goes off, sees her mother die. Her father's killed by them. Her father's the first one to confront them. Her father's like, I'm done. I'm not gonna. But they had the javelin, and her mother witnessed the bull, the biggest, the strongest of all the mammoths. With his two brothers were slain, right, by the tribe of the Ouroboros, man. And she knew they were deadly, and she knew that the javelin was just it was a super weapon created and guess who created the bone throwing? Vitalik. So he would create the engineer for UnDaoDu in the future, even though he's not awake. Vitalik's not awake, so he doesn't know. But Mihal is also a brother who happens to be there, right? They're not awake. They're still. So the story, I'm creating this story like, all this stuff, all these people. Here is Vitalik, and it's a horse looking down. If you look at the thing for DEFCON 5, it's the same image, right? Just luck, just too many UnDaoDu moments. And they didn't have horses, right? Rabbits, they had lots of rabbits running around. That's like a rabbit, but bigger, has a saddle on it, right? Or maybe that's its tail, who knows? And it's looking down, right? If you look at the Ethereum 5, it's Vitalik. So all these, they're not awake. I'm awake, right? The energy, the quantum field energy and I don't have all the memories. If you create, and something in acting, if you endow memory, like for example, give me a polygraph on this, I will pass it because I believe it. I believe it's real, right? Because I have endowed those memories, and this is how you trick the polygraph. You endow those memories in there. Now, am I doing it to trick the polygraph? No. But when you endow memories, and this is just an acting technique, if I have to, I'm not gay, but I have to be gay, I endow the person of someone I'm really crazy about, right? And so when I see that male and I'm not, I think of her. And I can, endow that. This is called endowing. So these memories and these stories, are they real? I don't know. Did I create them? They came out of my mind. Do they come from somewhere else? Are they coming from him? I don't know. All right. But I meditate, I focus on him, I breathe, and then the stories come out. So when When Shigamatra mother dies, her sister, knowing that she's the last one to protect her, takes her to the old trail through the Silken Path all the way to, to Alaska over the land bridge, and she has moved there. Her sister doesn't want her, but when Shigamatra becomes mature and becomes an adult and takes over the tribe, she has the death of her mother and father at hand, and her last lesson with her mother, which she didn't learn, which her mother was trying to teach her when she died, was you can't stomp out everything. Because in Shigamatra is playing with the dolphins, and the mother's like, come on, Shigamatra, come on. You're the Omega, Shigamatra. You have to come and get your lesson. No, I want to be a dolphin, she says. No, you got to come. So there's this whole debate back and forth. And, finally she comes out, and she's angry. It's like, I want to be a dolphin, Mom. What are you doing with this? And she says, why don't you go and stomp them out? And her mother thinks of the death of her father. Says, your father. Some things, she don't want to tell her that her father was killed by them. She don't want to bring that, she don't want to bring that harm on her. She says some things can't be stomped out. As she thinks of the time when her mate, the biggest, the most powerful of the UnDaoDu awoke mammoths, right? Attacked the tribe, trying to kill them before they came in. She's like, and she does this thing. She go look at this, the termite mound. Go slay the termite mound. If you can slay the termite mound, I will go gladly and go slay it. So sure, I can destroy that mound, right? The termite. So she just pounds and pounds. The termite's still there. She pounds and pounds. She says, you can't kill them, right? They're underground too. They're always. So it gets dark. She comes back. The Ouroboros tribe get note here. The mother is by herself with her daughter, trying to teach her a lesson. They get found. And she saves Shigamatra by picking her up and tossing her with all her strength into the ocean, because Shigamatra loved the water. She knew she could swim. She could float. She's like, Shigamatra probably would have been, the ancestor of the whales or some sort of whale if she would have continued her tribe. So when Shigamatra starts to come back, she starts wiping out every tribe of man, right? And she's very smart. So she talks at the dead of night. She waits. She is basically on a mission to stomp out. Well, word finally gets back to the tribes of the three main tribes, right? There's a monster, there's a beast that's coming, right? It's destroying. It's like, yeah, my village is destroyed. I'm the last one. May I come and stay? And they're like, so the word slowly gets back as from Alaska. So Shigamatra is working her way in back to Africa, and she's stomping out every friggin', infestation of the Ouroboros she comes across murderously, right? And out of this desperation and fear, the three tribes decide to come together. The three tribes are the three sisters, right? The three witches, the three sisters, and the three tribes come together, and they don't want to come together. So it's okay, we will have a competition. Whoever wins this competition, right? Well, you will raise 20 champions each, right? These 20 champions are all 10 years old, are going to compete and fight one another. And whoever is the champion of these, right, will be the chosen one. Oh, that's a UnDaoDu. UnDaoDu was one of those, is like a John Wick slash, what's his name? Wick and Equalizer, right? Obviously, I'm not that UnDaoDu. Sees things in slow motion, but it makes for a great story, right? So he's this natural savant, and he maybe it's just like someone else would have picked it up, or I don't know. I'm thinking about the Rosetta. But the story, so there's this ritual. He's got his brothers and sisters. That's the 19 around him. So the 19 people that are slain, and there's a whole story in their characters that you learn. Vittel doing the bone spear. They call him Bone Thrower, right? The joke. And there's this event, and basically UnDaoDu, they slay everyone, but they didn't tell UnDaoDu that they got to kill each other too. There's only can be one, whoever's the best. And actually, it wasn't supposed to be that way, but the chieftain knew, she was like the mystic, right? Knew that he would be the death of her, right? She feared him. She saw him. He looked through her. She didn't. He could see her for what she was. Because he was already aware, right? He was a, he was a Tao. He was self-actualized, right? And that's where his strength came from. He wasn't just following. So so she says they all, one must live, and he's like, I'm not gonna kill it. And then Brock-Du says, no, you must be the one, and he kills himself, right, as a way to, to saying, hey, we're all gonna die for you. So, and at that moment, Jokdu, the guy with the big nose, that's Joseph, attacks with his buddies, with the twins are there with him, and that's why they're all up there together. Mihao is kind of like, I don't know, and Vitalik is too wimpy to attack or anything. But Dadu goes into a rage, and he's a savant, and playing them all, and all the rest, and he just, basically kills them all, and becomes he undoes himself, and he's like, he's the one. And she says, and she's angry, she goes, you are unworthy, UnDaoDu, because she's, but she's the chosen one. So and then Shigamatra comes and is attacking them and destroying, and he's trying to figure out who she is and what she is, and they each got a name for her. So the Egyptian ones that are living in the Egypt area, the Ru, right? One god. That's the youngest sister. The oldest sister is the one in Africa. Namibia, all that area, that was a huge territory they would travel. And they lived pretty much by the coast, right? Which was very advantageous. Because we knew water, and we could fish and everything else. Well, Shigamatra was a water mammoth. She loved the water. So she'd come in. So they had names like Cthulhu, the tentacle one, right? Shit, trunks. They had named like, the Kraken, again, beast of the water, right? And Leviathan, again, beast of the water, because she would come in the water, out of the water, and just destroy them and go back into the water. It was just great for her, and she would just, do that, and also wait for pitch. So the beast is here, and he figures out that it's an animal, and he goes and tells her, and she nearly kills him to death. She just beats the shit out of him, with he can't hit back. I mean, he could easily just kill the shaman, but he's, and leaves him to nil death, and the girl that he likes comes, who's saves him and bandages his wound, middle of the night, and he recovers. But he saved her, but then he was like, when he was fighting her, and it was a scene where basically he senses something's up, and he says, take her away, talking about the mystic, Shadu, her name's Shadu. And as you see this, this tree come flying through the air, he's got his spear, he's telling his men to hold fast, right? Stay with me. As he goes in, and he's face to face with Shigamatra, and Shigamatra sees him and knows him for who he is. He throws the spear, and she just parries it with her trunk, or with her fucking tusks, like boom, right? He's like, holy shit. And then he's got spearless, and at the same time she whips, and he like ducks, and a tree smashes out and kills all his, murders, kills, and he's running, and Shigamatra is right on his ass, just chasing after him, and he's running, and he knows, and he can feel her trunk, and he just sprints to where he dives off into the water, and he just leads her away and barely gets off, and he looks back, and there's Shigamatra jumping in after him. It's like, you're not getting away from me, bitch. I am coming after you. And that's it. And there's a lot more of the story, but I hope you enjoy that.